What's up, everybody? Welcome back into an episode of The Lawyer You Know. And this is probably the most highly requested video this week. And even leading up to it, people are like, do you know Alan Jackson, Karen Reed, going live for an interview on Howie Carr? This is one of Karen Reed's first interviews, really post-trial. She gives us her thoughts on Elizabeth Banks playing her in an upcoming show and so many other things. Will there be a big announcement? I don't know. I haven't watched this entire interview myself yet. I'm going to give you my very real first live reactions, watching it together right now. This is the first time I'm watching this interview from beginning to end. I can't see what it says, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think as we go through it. So let's get to it. All right, we are going to jump right in. Karen Reed comes on at some point because I saw some clips of her saying things about the show and other things. So I guess it starts out with Alan Jackson. Eventually, we're going to get Karen Reed too. Let's get to it.
With us, it's a real pleasure to have them with us for the first segment. We're going to be talking to Alan Jackson. Karen Reed's attorney. Karen Reed is right over in the corner. She'll be joining us a little bit later on. But Alan Jackson said in June, I'll be coming back and I'll be on the show in the studio, and you're fulfilling your promise, and we really appreciate it. And we have so many questions to get to, Alan.
My pleasure. I missed the mark by a few weeks, but I told you I'd be back, and it's my pleasure to be here with you.
And again, I'm sure you're very happy to be back here in Norfolk County.
I got to say, I love the people here. I love the food here. Norfolk. Yeah, man. I still have some I'll put mixed emotions. How about that? I've got some mixed emotions
all right.
About being back here.
Oh, there's so much.
I'm going to bump it to 1 time speed because I can already feel like you guys may be thinking this one's a little too fast. So I'll bump it back down because they're talking fast. They're talking fast enough to keep our attention.
There's so many questions to ask you about. And the first thing is, we've all speculated that Karen Reed is going to file a civil lawsuit against the powers that be that have.
It feels like more than speculation at this point. I am very, 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 very confident it is going to happen. Will he announce it here today on Howie Carr? What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you haven't watched it yet.
That tried to frame her.
Right.
And so, what is that? What you're back here for?
Well, I can say this: I'm back for a reason. I didn't. It's not just a pleasure tour. So I'm back here for a reason. We've met with the legal team back here, dealing with the civil issue. There's obviously a lot to unpack where that's concerned. So we had and will continue to have significant meetings about that.
So he's here for a reason, to meet with the civil team on the car accident case where John O'Keefe's family is suing her for wrongful death, which we've talked about on this show, and other civil lawsuits potentially. We'll see. There was no hard announcement there, but maybe it's coming later in the interview. We'll see. Also, if you go to Alan Jackson's website and you see his law firm and you talk to some people that know people, they've got some experience with 1983 actions. Maybe not Alan Jackson himself, but there are some people involved that I think know exactly what to do and when to do it for Karen Reed.
Karen's next options, what her options are in general, but what her next moves might be. And we're considering all options. And in terms of the civil case itself, I'm not going to disclose everything that we've discussed, but certainly nothing is off the table. I can put it that way.
State or federal?
Yes.
I think federal. I think federal is their best route. I think that's what's going to end up happening. Could be wrong, though. The state parallels to 1983 usually are not as scary for the other people involved. And when you have so many state actors involved, I feel better about federal if I was bringing this case personally. But I'm sure they'll have discussions about it, and there'll be strategy involved, and maybe they'll take angles from both routes. We'll see. We'll see what they do. That's the cool thing about the civil legal system and the civil judicial system, civil justice system, is you can be more creative, right? Because in criminal law, you can't do anything as a private attorney. Just government attorneys, prosecutors, state attorneys, district attorneys, attorney generals. Those are the only ones that can really do anything. Assistant U.S. attorneys. But in the civil realm, when you have private lawyers who can try and find the best causes of action that work with the facts that you have, sometimes you can be more creative, and it can really open up a lot of different options.
I don't know. At this point, that's part of what we're deciding. There's options that we have, both state and federal options, and we're exploring all those options. So we'll see. We'll see.
And, I know that the O'Keefe case, the civil damages that the O'Keefe family is seeking against Karen and the bars. I mean, it doesn't seem like they got much of a case against her since she's been acquitted. And since the experts agree that that the car didn't hit John O'Keefe.
Right.
So
Well, the experts don't agree, right? One side's experts say that. A lot of the world agrees with those experts, but the experts do not necessarily agree. If the experts agreed and the insurance company's expert said there was no collision, there would be no lawsuit. And I should say, if if the O'Keefe lawyers had experts that said there was no collision, the case would be over. They would drop the case because that would be both sides, the insurance company and the O'Keefes. So I assume the O'Keefes have somebody that say a collision occurred, because if the experts really agree, that usually resolves the case.
doesn't have much of a case, but you've got to still defend against that, and you're in Plymouth County.
Right. I'm not worried about the county where we're at. I'm Plymouth. It could be any place. I really don't care. I think you're right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. They're going to have. I'll put it this way. I think the civil action that's been filed against Karen, they're going to have a very, very, very significant uphill battle. Very obviously, the jury has spoken. It's not like there wasn't an enormous amount of scrutiny that was put on through all the evidence against her, and 2 times, not once, 2 times, jurors determined that there was no collision.
I don't think people think about that enough, but
I feel like they think about it enough, and I feel like we've heard it a lot, and a lot of people have been saying it. I said it as well when it first happened. It's like multiple times, technically, but legally speaking, 1 time.
You mentioned it in the first interview, and
Right.
I think it bears repeating. She was a victim of double jeopardy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And we made that pitch not only to Judge Cannoni, but
all the way up to the Supreme
Court.
Right.
Yeah, and we believe that we were correct. I'll go to my grave believing that we were correct. I don't know why the appellate departments that heard this case didn't agree. I'm a little gobsmacked by that. I'll remain confused by that. But look, that just gave us that much more impetus, that much more motivation to go back a second time, given the fact that there was going to be a second trial, and make sure that she got acquitted the second time as well. But there's no question that that's not even open to dispute that the jurors came back with every charge and allegation that was associated with striking John O'Keefe. She was acquitted the first time, and she was acquitted the second time.
So how much, we've dealt with these cases of frame ups and people actually going to prison. You had the 4 guys that were framed by the FBI. They spent 35 years in prison. They got $102 million, I believe. You have Freddie Whitechell, who was framed.
And this was great research and really cool that Howie Carr gave us this information about what type of money could be involved and people that went to prison for years and years and years and how much money they got versus what is Karen Read's case going to be worth, right? So this is a really good thing that he's doing, giving the people examples, watching like 1983 actions have been filed before. They've been won before, especially in these surrounding areas. So should give you some confidence.
In this county, as a favor for Whitey Bulger to take him off the street. He won a $33 million judgment that was tossed out, most of it. Then he won $15 million from the town of Braintree. I'm just laying these out. How much do you think Karen can get?
The question is, how much is a life worth? How much is her reputation worth? How much is her professional reputation worth?
So did you see the pause? We don't see Alan Jackson pause often. But the hardest thing, I'll just tell you right now, the hardest thing, because a criminal defense attorney, especially a very good trial attorney going from criminal defense to civil, they can do 99% of it. A lot of it is the same. Opening statement, closing arguments for the most part. I'll tell you what the big difference is. Direct examination, cross-examination, arguing motions to the judge, objections, getting to know a jury, playing with the jury, all of that, they can do really, really well. The hardest thing, and I've noticed it now, even with some cases with my dad coming over, like what parts I'll be like, you handle this, I'll handle this. Because the same thing for me, when I went from doing mostly criminal trials to doing both, and then now mostly civil trials, the absolute hardest thing for a criminal defense attorney or prosecutor switching over is damages. Understanding how to explain to a jury what a case is worth, how to put a dollar value on things that do not have a dollar value. Anybody can say, here's a medical bill, pay this medical bill, it's $1,000, give her $1,000. Those are scientific, if you will. Those are easy damages to explain. But we say that's a science, right? When you have the actual compensatory damages. But when you talk about non-economic damages, sorry, that's economic damages. When you have non-economic damages, because all can be compensatory, but that's economic damages. It's actually a receipt. It's a bill. You have a number. That's a science. Non-economic damages is an art. And you have to figure out how you can explain to a jury what this is worth. What's it worth to be miserable every single day? What's it worth to every night when you go to sleep, you're going to get a bad night's sleep because the screws you have in your back now, or you had a shoulder surgery that's never going to be the same and you sleep on your right side. Usually you can never do that again. What's that worth? Some people, if you have some jurors, it's not worth much, right? Everybody's got aches and pains. Others, you can really make feel it based on their experience, based on you explain it, based on how your client explains it. So defining damages, proving damages, explaining damages, that's the hardest thing from a criminal lawyer to go over to the civil side. So Alan Jackson's going to throw a bunch of stuff up at the wall here probably and say, X, Y, and Z, these are all the things that she lost. What's it's really worth? Which is the right answer. You never want to say a number at this point, right? We don't know what the number is going to be. It's going to be a big number. Something that I like to say in a lot of cases that are serious damages or wrongful death cases, not just, my back hurts and I had an injection or something like that, but, the really significant cases, there isn't enough money. There isn't enough money, but all we can ask for is money. And I like to do that in my jury selection to say, we're not an eye for an eye society. We are a civilized society. We're not barbaric, right? Because they broke my client's arm doesn't mean my client gets to go break their arm, and we wouldn't want it that way. So we've got to figure out how to put a dollar sign on this so we don't become a barbaric society to where people start doing that to each other. That's what the civil justice system is for. So what is it worth? How do we get to prove what it's worth? And the way you do that is you explain how it affected somebody's life and how different their life is now than it was before, what they can no longer do at all, or what they can no longer do pain-free. Because everybody can relate to that. Everybody's had some kind of ache or pain before. So what's it like that person caused it? You got to deal with it forever. And in her life, a lot of it is the mental and emotional distress, what she lost. Her reputation damages are humongous in this case. Her earning capacity is severely diminished potentially, right? You go from having like a real good job to now potentially being famous in movies and books. Like they're going to have to deal with that because the other side will argue she's going to make more money now, Judge, than she did before. You got to be careful with that argument. Might work to a jury if you're talking exactly numbers, but a jury might be like, oh, so should she say thank you to these people for ruining her life? There's so many things going on and so much strategy when it comes to damages. But that's, if Alan Jackson handles that, they may have a civil lawyer handle that portion of it because his skills could be so useful in any trial, criminal or civil. But I bet if he's going to do the damages portion, he's going to have a crash course now in doing it the best way and building up those damages to really be as large and just an amount that doesn't exist, right? No money is going to put her back in the place she was before they intentionally did this to her. That's the argument he's got to make. So let's listen to what he kind of builds up as damages here.
Professional reputation. She's lost all of that. She had to sell her house. She had to sell her car. She hasn't driven in 4 years. Her reputation has been dragged through the mud because of these allegations. And these are things that no citizen, no righteously should ever have to suffer. So how much is that worth? How much value, Howie, would you put on being in her shoes for 10 minutes, let alone 4 years? That's the question. And that's going to be a question for the jury. And we're going to.
And that's kind of a golden rule question. It's like, what would it take for you? Like in our cases, let's say somebody was paralyzed. What would it take for you to be paralyzed? Right? How do you answer that as a juror? No amount of money. I would rather have $0. I would rather owe $1 million, be $1 million in debt than be in a wheelchair because somebody hit me, a drunk driver hit me, and now I'm paralyzed. Right? You would do anything you can monetarily. And that's how you explain it. But that's the golden rule. You can't say, what if this happened to you? How would you feel? You can't do that to the jury. But when you're explaining it to Howie Carr or to the nation, that's a good explanation. It's like, well, for half the world to think you're a cop killer, because they still do. There are people in this world that still think you're a cop killer. You're guilty. You got off because your lawyer, smoke and mirrors, tricked people. So that's the type of argument that is around this that you have to make a jury understand how bad. That's what you're trying to prove in this civil case.
Decide what we think is appropriate to ask for, but I don't think there's any amount of money. There's not an amount of money that I can think of that would reasonably compensate her.
She wasn't.
That's the right answer. You don't want to give a number ever. It's too early in the case. You wait till you're further along. But the answer is always there's not enough money when it's a severe case, right? You don't want to trivialize that for cases that's not actually true for. But I'll be honest, like even I have some cases where people just get injections and they just live with the pain in their lower back for the rest of their life because they were in an accident. That sucks. And same thing. There's no money that would make me want to do that. Some people might disagree with me, but everybody's different and you explain these cases different. It's all case by case, individualized manner.
In prison per se, but I mean, it's kind of a prison that she's been in, isn't it?
Well, to your point, per se, no, she wasn't in prison per se. She was in jail twice. She was jailed twice, twice too many times. But she was in a prison of the making of the Massachusetts State Police, the Norfolk DA's office, Michael Morrissey and his henchmen. That was a prison in and of itself, and far worse and far too long than anything she should have ever had to suffer. She just simply didn't have anything to do with the death of John O'Keefe. And there's a lot of folks out there who know that.
So, you can sue, I believe, the state police, and
Correct.
You can sue individuals, but can you sue the district attorney, Michael Morrissey?
That is a knottier legal question, not Knotty. That's a more difficult legal question. District attorneys, by and large, and here in Massachusetts, enjoy something called qualified immunity. So the question becomes whether or not there is a legal standard that we can overcome to actually prosecute a civil case against them. But generally, the answer is no. They enjoy an immunity, both Michael Morrissey himself as well as his deputies or assistant DAs.
That's unfortunate.
There are ways to get around it potentially. It seems like maybe that's not going to be their focus, which is interesting to me. That's news to me. Because I know about their immunity, but if they took a part in the investigation and directed the investigation to go certain ways, sometimes I think you can pierce into that.
It is unfortunate. It's a shame. It's a shame. I'd love the opportunity to have that discussion in open court in a civil case about what his conduct consisted of and what his deputies' conduct consisted of as well.
Now, are you going to get if in a potential civil case, whether in state or federal court, are you going to get access to all of these emails and texts from the cloud that we're already reading about?
We'll see. We'll see. That's certainly something that we're focusing on heavily in the civil case. The information that we didn't get in the criminal case through requests and demands that we made to Justice Cannoni, it opens up a whole new batch of possibilities for us to get some of that data in the civil case. So they brought the civil case, right? You don't get to, it's a sword and a shield, right? So you don't get to bring a civil case and then hide behind some sort of anonymity and trying to suppress the evidence that we need to properly defend against that civil case. And I can guarantee you that civil case will be righteously defended. And that means getting every single scrap of information that we're entitled to and that we did not get during the criminal case.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen some of it. I mean, the fact that that crazy woman, the woman with the hat on her head, they as soon as they see what she's going to say, Morrissey emails back, "Hire this woman immediately!" ! All
right.
Capital letters.
Right. Those emails are revelatory. I haven't read all of them. We haven't seen all of them. It's yet to be seen how much of that we get, but there's quite a few revelations, I think, that are going to be had in those emails. Michael Morrissey was very, very, I'll put it this way, he was very involved in the decision-making that ended up putting Karen Read in these very compromised positions, being prosecuted.
He's run for district attorney many times. He's raised $200 from one guy, a House counsel for a corrupt speaker who was convicted of a felony in 11 months. He's raised one contribution in 11 months. You think he's running for re-election?
I hope not. I hope not. For the sake of the community, for the sake of Massachusetts, for Christ's sake. I mean, no, I hope he's not. I don't know what's in Michael Morrissey.
Karen is smiling. I just have to just point that out.
Yeah. I cannot imagine a circumstance in which he thinks, number one, that he could win, and number two, that he would actually be an effective leader for the community. That's the job, right? That is, at the end of the day, it's not about you feathering your nest, Mr. Morrissey, right? It's about really doing that which is the heart of community service. you're there to represent the community members. The community members don't want you. They just don't. And I think that's
we're not that into you anymore, Mike Morrissey.
it's one way to break up with them. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and then Karen Reed will be back with us. 844-500-4242.
All right, here we go. There's a commercial, and then we're going to get Karen Reed now, and she's going to answer some questions.
Be wise.
Sure.
And be wise. And Karen Reed, and I'm going to speak. I wanted to talk to Karen Reed a little bit this segment, and it's mainly about the court and the legal wranglings to come. But I did want to check in with Karen Reed, and thanks so much for coming in, Karen.
Thanks,
we really
Howie.
appreciate it. What's your post-trial life like?
It's not quite as I expected. I was expecting a switch to be flipped. That was the opposite of the one that got flipped on me at 6 a.m. on January 29th, 2022. But it's been more like a dimmer that the lights are coming on a little brighter each week. There's moments I have every day that have these little epiphanies of, wow, this is the first time I've done fill in the blank in the last 4 years that I wasn't living with this nightmare.
Were you even allowed to leave the state?
I was, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't have any travel restrictions.
Okay, so now, but you lost your house. You had to sell your house.
Yeah, I sold my house between the two trials. I was scraping to afford one trial, and that was with the help of my attorneys to just piece this defense together. But then to face it a second time, I was not financially prepared at all. So I knew I was hanging on to my house, but after the first trial, I realized I just can't.
So,
I mean, you realize when you have to sacrifice to make something happen, to fight for your life, you pull every lever you can. Like I'm going to take to couch surfing. I can't sit on this asset anymore.
So you lost your house. You lost your two jobs, right? You had you got a really good job at Fidelity, right?
I had a great job at Fidelity. I've always wanted to be there, and I felt lucky every day that I walked into 245 Summer Street, and I worked with brilliant people. I learned every day, and that job was not just a job. That was my career, and I still miss it.
Is there a chance you could ever get it back?
I don't know. I think I don't know if I can hop back on the commuter rail and walk through South Station every day. And I have other things I need to do in terms of illuminating what I've seen the last 4 years.
No.
So this is her life's focus now. This is her job now, is shining a light on this corruption, the movies, the books, the lawsuits. That's what it seems like from her. That's going to be her job now.
So you're living with your parents
Yes.
now, right? And what's that like at this late date?
I consider myself very fortunate that for all I've lost, the things I need, I still have. And I'm lucky. My parents are in their late 70s. I'm lucky I have them. They're smart, they're nurturing and funny, and we watch movies together. We've traveled, we've taken a few trips, the three of us together. And I prayed during this ordeal that you can take away, God, whatever needs to be taken away, but let my parents be here on the other side, even for one day. Can I have one day with my parents after an acquittal? And I've had a summer, and we make the most.
Listen, you can say whatever you want about that. If you think that's contrived or scripted or whatever, that hits me, right? Like every juror, something different's going to hit them. And if she takes the stand in this 1983 action or gets deposed and explains what her damages are, that to me is like puts you in her mindset. It's a different life and a different world when you're sitting there with the cloak of everybody thinking you're guilty and this crime hanging over your head. She wants to sit there with her parents who are getting older, just one day as a free woman where everybody, knows that she's not guilty of this crime, and she can have a conversation with them where they can look at each other, where she knows I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I know I'm innocent. The world now knows I'm not guilty, at least. So that to me, those types of descriptions are things I don't think you can really plan with clients, but the way they come out, sometimes they really hit.
Most of it, we're going to see them for dinner after this. And I love seeing them every day.
How are they doing? How are Bill and Janet doing?
My parents are great. They're the strongest people I know. They're faithful. They're strong, and they have good sense of humor.
You got all your other family. You got your brother, and you got your cousin Kelly.
I've got friends and family and new people that I have come into my life. lot of support around me at all times.
But did you get your car back yet?
I don't have my car back yet. I don't. I do not have the car.
It's not for lack of trying.
Not for lack of trying, right?
Why won't they give you back your car?
I mean, it's just logistics at this point. There's so much water under the bridge that it would require Adam Lally or somebody from the DA's office reaching out to us, and we know how that goes.
So I got to ask you. I read yesterday that they've Elizabeth Banks is going to.
All right, here we go. Elizabeth Banks is going to play her in the movie. Let's hear what she has to say about it. You guys tell me, what do you think she's going to say? This is a clip I have seen already. I hadn't seen much up to here, but this is a clip I had seen.
Play you in the movie. And I said, is this the same movie that you sold the rights to? What's the story?
You know what, Howie? I probably read that the same time you did, give or take a couple minutes. I have nothing to do with that. It's not authorized by me in any way. There is a more to this story. I won't say another side. I think that the public at large knows this story. They know the truth, but there's a lot more to it than what I think Elizabeth Banks knows at this point. But
yikes. She's like, I have nothing to do with this. She wants to make sure like her supporters know, don't go crazy on this one. Now people are going to watch. People are going to watch this movie. There's no doubt about it. People that this show, I keep saying movie. I think it's like a limited series or something. I think I heard Law and Crime is like connected to it or doing work on it. I don't know if that's true or not. But Karen Reed is not. She had nothing to do with this. So they're still planning theirs. And I'm wondering, and I've talked with some people involved about this, like when is the right timing? Do you want to wait till 1983 is done, till the civil suit's done, where it's all resolved? Do you want to strike while the iron's hot, while everybody's invested in this? Is it going to peter off? All those kind of questions. You also don't want to oversaturate the market where it's just like Karen Reed, where people get sick of it. Are we at that point? You have to be careful about when the timing is right to really get the most bang for your buck here in this movie, show, book, whatever she's going to do.
I've never spoken to her. This
is not the authorized.
I have not blessed this. No.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: if it's not too,
I did not bless this.
Catty a question. She's 52 years old. You're 45. I mean, how do you feel about her, an older woman playing you?
Well, this happened. This nightmare started when I was 42. So she'd be playing someone 10 years younger, which I'm not an ageist in any way, but I would like to see this if it were to come to life on a big screen or on a small screen. I'd love for supporters of mine and people who believe in the truth of this to know more than what Elizabeth Banks knows.
And it's really her story to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is Karen Reed's story to tell. It's not Hollywood's story to make up and to fill in blanks that they want to fill in, to take a poetic license, a literary license, movie license. It really is Karen Reed's story to tell. And so it's a little bit of a shame that she was never even consulted, never even contacted.
Can you tell they're not pumped about that? And they think maybe she should have been consulted. Maybe she should get some royalties from a movie about her life, potentially. Can you blame them for it? It's like, come on, guys. Like, at least involve us. Now, if they said we're only doing ours and we're not talking to anybody else and other people want to make a movie about it, that's how Hollywood works, right? And we don't have to agree with it. We don't have to think it's right. But it seems like they didn't even try to reach out to them, which they're not very happy about.
Like she said, we
So
read about this.
It was totally new when you read it yesterday.
Yeah. I had heard through the grapevine that she was interested, but I would think she'd have reached out to us. She knows who our contacts are in California. Yeah, we're not hard to find.
So
that is true. They're not hard to find.
Your next thing is the movie, or what's your next move?
I don't know from day to day what my next move is.
She doesn't look at Alan Jackson much for her answers, right? She's very confident and competent, but when he asked her next move, she looks over at Alan Jackson and then she continues to answer. I thought that was interesting.
I'd like a book out there. There's just a lot more to tell. A lot of what it took to fight this that was behind closed doors. I think people would be very interested in that.
The story does need to be told, but it needs to be told accurately.
I love it. I love this. It's like they're trying their hardest not to completely just nuke the show that's already coming out, but they're like, it has to be told properly. There's so much more than people might know about this. I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of things that were uncovered during the course of this trial and this odyssey, and it needs to be told.
Which is why I think they're not going around doing a bunch of interviews saying exactly what that is. They're holding it for the book, for the show, whatever.
Accurately.
I want to ask you about that when we come back,
Sure.
but I wanted to show, I found a bag in the trash. I am from Norfolk County, and I found this bag, Norfolk County District Attorney. It's Michael Morrissey bag. So I got
And you literally found it in the trash.
I literally found it in the trash, and there's some stuff in here.
I mean, somebody's got taste. Throwing that away.
Look at this. It's a Where's Chloe? Where's Chloe?
Everybody loves Chloe. Everybody wants to
loves
find out
Chloe.
what happened
Hey,
to Chloe. Everybody's
Hey,
worried
look
about
at
Chloe.
this. Look at this, guys.
Those are dangerous.
Those are dangerous. I think this may be contraband in Norfolk County.
I
This
know.
duck.
They got a bolo out.
This is an indictable offense, putting this on this table, I think.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I stopped by Mass State Police Headquarters in Middlesex County today, and I went to the store, and guess what they have here? This is some
But are there
fresh from the
40? Are there
factory.
47 pieces? Is
Exactly.
the question.
Exactly.
Some of them are big, some of them are small. Hold on.
I mean, it's like hard to laugh because of how real and horrible this was, but it's crazy. This case is crazy. The stuff that happened in this case and surrounding it is just like, you have to laugh. If you're not laughing, you're crying. That's what my grandma used to say. You're either laughing or you're crying.
Up for the camera there. It's just they have ships working three shifts a day on this, 24 hours a day, breaking
I'm
tail
sure.
light.
I'm sure.
So to throw out at the crime scenes. Karen Reed, thank you so much. We'll be back with
This is like a real radio.
4-500-4242. And with us in the studio is Alan Jackson, Karen Reed's attorney. Karen Reed was just with us. She's chatting now with Veronica, George Mendoza's daughter. Veronica and George brought in some great food for us today from Monica's, and you guys haven't checked that place out yet.
No, I gotta try it. I gotta try it.
It's
Looking
really a
forward.
great place. Anyway, I want to ask you something. Now, this is something. There's been a lot of speculation in social media. Judge Cannoni, who you had problems with, everyone had problems with her, and she has now transferred from this hallowed county down to Plymouth County,
Right.
in Superior Court. So she is in the same county where the O'Keefe case is going to be heard, where she's the defendant and where she might be the plaintiff in a massive civil rights case. So is there a chance that Beverly Cannoni could grab Karen Reed's case and try to do it again?
I don't think so. Like you said, there's been a lot of speculation on the internet about that. I don't think so. I think that's honestly, I think that's just happenstance. She's literally in a different courthouse, happens to be in the same county. Judge O'Shea has been assigned to the case for all purposes.
I'm glad he said, this is a good question. I'm glad he answered it. I haven't seen this either yet, but that answers a lot of questions people had. It's like, it ain't going to happen. Alan Jackson seems to have zero worry that it's going to end up in Cannoni's court.
O'Shea is the Raj, the regional administrative justice over that region. So I would imagine that Judge O'Shea, when he took the case and took it for all purposes, that's exactly what that means, and I trust that. So I think we are going to be in Judge O'Shea's court.
So Beverly Cannoni is in Brockton.
She's in Brockton,
And-
the city
and-
of Brockton.
And he and in your case is
City
going
of
to be
Plymouth.
in the town of Plymouth.
Town
Yeah.
of Plymouth.
So that's
Howie Carr is like as like Massachusetts as Massachusetts gets, correcting that.
so there's no, probably never the twain shall meet.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. Nobody on our team is concerned about it. We don't think that's going to happen.
So you've got a whole civil team that's going to be working here
We do.
now. Who's
Exceptionally talented folks at the firm, Damon Seligson and Charlie Waters, Chaz Waters, Aaron, the whole team. They're dedicated to this case. They have dug in. They've rolled their sleeves up. I've been thoroughly impressed. They know the case better than I would have ever expected folks to know the case that weren't on it for the last 3 or 4 years. They know the granular details, and I couldn't be happier. Karen's in very, very, very good hands.
Since the trial ended, you wrote a scathing letter. It was really well written to the police commissioner of the city of Boston.
Before we get to that, so seems like he's got high hopes for this civil defense team. I wouldn't expect him to say anything negative about them, just FYI. That would not be good form at this point, especially if you're working together and you're coming in to kind of what they're doing. I am very interested in what his role is going to be. Is he Karen Reed's personal counsel? Is he one of the insurance defense lawyers? Is the insurance company paying him? Where do his loyalties lie? I mean, we know where his loyalties lie. But a lot of times when you sign up for something like this, your client is the insurance defense or the insurance company, and then on behalf of the defendant. So sometimes there can be a conflict and you need conflict counsel. So I wonder how they're doing that. I would hope that he knows, and I'm sure he does know, he should be hired by Karen Reed, period. Whether Progressive is going to pay or out or whatever, whether the insurance company, whatever insurance company is going to pay him or reimburse Karen Reed or whatever, he should be Karen Reed's attorney, so that if any conflict ever were to come up with Progressive where they say we're denying coverage or, she lied about something, so now we can't, and then he would have to come off the case, that'd be a major, major problem for them. So from the jump, he should be counsel to Karen Reed. Karen Reed should be the one signing the fee agreement. He should only be talking to Karen Reed. If something were to happen between Karen Reed and the insurance company, it doesn't matter. He keeps going against Karen or with Karen Reed. But that's just inside baseball stuff. But that does happen sometimes, and it can be tough for the defendant who thinks this has been my lawyer the whole time. It's like, not really. And now they're conflicted out.
Michael Cox.
Right.
And you told him that you thought that his officer, Kelly Dever, should be added to the Brady list. Why don't you tell us about that? And if you've gotten any, well, go ahead. Tell us what.
First of all, can we clear this up so that folks don't think I'm a complete idiot? So,
and people don't actually think he's a complete idiot, but this is the kind of guy Alan Jackson is when you're a killer and when you are like, you have that gene where you're type A and you want to be right. You want to prove to people you're right. Even when you're on the top of the mountain, he's still going to be like, I'm going to correct the record here. I saw this clip as well.
A consonant following a single consonant following a vowel is a hard vowel. D-E-V-E-R is pronounced Dever. D-E-V-V-E-R would be Dever. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. When she corrected me and basically knocked me backward on my heels for mispronouncing her name, I did learn English. So the rules of English.
It's not your third language.
It's not my third language. No.
I've never heard him admit that he was knocked backwards on his heels. Have you guys heard that? It's kind of funny.
No. And I do know what the word theory actually means as well, as does Sergeant Buchanan. In any event, Kelly Dever, as she likes to pronounce it, I thought I needed to write that letter for the protection of the public and the protection of other defendants. She should be on the Brady list for the reasons that I put in the letter.
Which is an unreliable witness.
She's an unreliable witness. She admitted one of two things is true. Either she lied or she has a faulty memory, and she has a really hard time with recollecting facts. She has false memories. It's not just a faulty memory. All of us have a faulty memory. She is subject to, as she put it, false memories. How could she reasonably be a police officer going forward with false memories? I mean, she'd be expected to be a professional witness, an eyewitness to everything that she does, every arrest that she makes, every piece of evidence that she finds, every piece of evidence that she proffers or presents.
When do you believe she was telling the truth? When she spoke to the FBI and said she saw Higgins and Berkowitz for a wildly long time, or when
100%.
That's
100%. That's exactly what the truth was. There's no way to have a false memory that's concocted to that level of detail. And all I wanted, it's not, I don't know how I became her enemy. She's a police officer. I'm simply a party in a lawsuit that was brought by Michael Morrissey and his folks, a criminal lawsuit. And all I asked her to do was get on the stand and tell the truth. And it turned into an absolute disaster for her, not for me, for her. None of the jurors believed her. They all thought that she was completely lying. And one has to, when one's left to speculate as to why she lied. When you couple that,
why would you speculate?
Well, when you couple that with the fact that she was called up to
the commissioner's office,
Commissioner Cox's office, why is a rookie cop with 8 months on the job at the time at Boston Police Department called up to the commissioner's office? She probably should not have even met the commissioner for the next 5, 6, 8 years of her career. There was no reason for that to happen. Then when she starts playing loose and fast and loose with the facts about that meeting, then you couple that with Commissioner Cox acting like he's never even heard her name. I think he said, "I've never said the words Karen Reed. Those words have never been in a sentence. How could that possibly be? At the end of the day, John O'Keefe was one of his officers. This is one of the highest profile cases where he lost an officer on the lawn of who? Another one of his officers. And the person accused and blamed for that happens to be named Karen Reed. And his answer is, I've never said those words. I don't know who Karen Reed is. I've never said a sentence with the name Karen Reed in it. And then you have Kelly Dever, who happens to get a subpoena from the defense. And before she's able to testify, she ends up in his office. None of that passes the smell test. None of it.
And then he said at the end of his interview, Commissioner Cox, he said, that case is closed. I didn't know that case was closed.
It's far from closed. It's far from closed in my mind.
There's no one has been convicted of
Correct.
killing a.
Everybody can say whatever they want as far as open or closed. It's like, if the statute of limitations hasn't run on every single possible thing, then it could always be opened again. If civil statute of limitations haven't run, there could be civil cases. So, we don't need to beat that dead horse.
Boston police
Correct.
officer.
John O'Keefe's killer or killers have yet to be brought to justice.
Will they ever be?
I fear that given the circumstances of what I've seen here with the Boston Police Department, the Canton Police Department, the MSP, and the powers that be in prosecutorial positions, I fear that is never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They have no motivation. They have no urgency. They would rather sit back on their heels and say, well, the jury got it wrong. She did it. And it's just not true.
Or chase rubber duckies.
Or chase rubber ducks and make people's lives miserable. It's a shame. It's shameful.
A texter, can you ask Alan why he thinks John was murdered in the garage?
I've gone through in great detail what I think the theory of the case is. It's in my very lengthy closing argument. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, not really, right? Because it was more reasonable doubt. It was more, we can't prove it, but we know it wasn't Karen Reed in the second closing argument of the winning case. And then we've heard some things from him and other lawyers afterwards about what could potentially be a theory. He's not going to speculate right now, but I kind of think this is hand in hand with the civil cases that are going on, especially the 1983 action. Maybe they want to get even more proof before they really run with some theories, because, we heard basement, gym equipment, whatever. We heard garage. We've heard he was dragged. We heard all sorts of things. And so you got to be careful with what you say here.
Any further than what the facts show, and the facts indicate what I argued in 2 trials. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't think this is the forum to discuss that. I think there will be another forum to discuss that, and I'll allow myself the room to discuss it then.
Another forum to discuss that. So, and that's obviously book, movie, and I think other lawsuits. By the way, I love Alan Jackson's watch.
We're not finished with the court system, and the court system is going to allow me another opportunity and another platform, and allow Karen another platform to get the truth out. And we damn well intend to do it.
That's in the civil case.
Correct.
Wherever it is.
Wherever it is.
Now, I know you'll mainly be going after the state police, but
Really? Don't put words in my mouth, Howie.
I didn't come here to be made sport of. But how about some of the individuals that are involved? We can run, the laundry list.
I do.
You know it better than me.
I do. I know the list that you're thinking of, and
let me run down the list. Michael Proctor.
So I'm going to repeat this constantly. Nothing's off the table, and no one's off the table.
Yuri Buconic.
Nothing's off the table.
So they might be lawyering up even further than they're already lawyered up.
We'll see. We'll see how many lawyers it takes to defend against the righteous truth.
How about Brian Higgins? This is a guy who took his cell phone to the FBI kiosk in, I believe, Chelsea, and had his buddy basically cleanse the phone.
An FBI buddy.
An FBI buddy.
Using FBI resources, by the way. Think about that.
Why didn't you call? That FBI agent?
We thought about it. It is an incredibly difficult task to run through. It's a labyrinthine process to subpoena a federal agent. incredibly difficult to do.
So same thing applies to Brian Higgins as an ATF agent.
Didn't seem to bother the
Jury.
Norfolk DA's office
Oh, I
to
thought it
call
was
him.
the
They
jury.
called him first in the first trial, and I had
And that's the difference between the job between a prosecutor and defense attorney. They're the ones that have the duty. They're the ones that have to produce all the truth and justice to this jury. They're the ones that have the burden. It's like, you can't throw that on us and act like it's our fault or like we were hiding something. We don't have to call anybody. That's not the job of a defense attorney. And everybody acted like, well, we have to do it. It's like, that's their job. And I thought he was going to say it didn't seem to bother the jury, because he's right about that.
an opportunity to cross-examine him. But if we want to, if a defense wants to subpoena a federal agent, a righteous federal agent, someone who's licensed and deputized, either if the FBI, ATF, whomever, it is a very, very difficult process. And it's not as easy as just issuing a subpoena.
Do you think the federal investigation is over?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Howie. I've never heard in my career, ever heard of federal investigators calling the target of an investigation or targets of an investigation and saying, hey, by the way, guys, we've just closed this. You're good to go. I've never heard of that happening. I can tell you this. I personally, this is all I can say. I personally, and no one on our team, no one, not David, not Bob, no one ever heard directly from the FBI that this is closed, or if the FBI or the DOJ that this federal investigation was closed. So my answer is, unless and until that were to happen, no, I don't believe that.
It was announced,
anything
I
is
think, by
closed.
Helena Rafferty after she hit the old guy in the crosswalk at dusk.
Right. There's motives on the other side's part to want this investigation to be closed and to have that sort of out in the ether. But anything that's closed can be reopened, even if it were closed. So who cares?
I want to ask you about something that just bugs me a little bit. This guy, Gregory Long, he was the superintendent in chief of the Boston Police Department. He was a neighbor of John O'Keefe and Brian Albert
From Canton.
Yeah, from Canton.
Right.
He lived in Canton.
Right.
And like when Karen Reed was arrested, he put out a press release and he said they have the Norfolk DA's office and the state police have apprehended the killer of John O'Keefe. None of this, she has been charged, or none of the, the boilerplate at the bottom, like, guilty and innocent until proven guilty. He just put out a statement like that.
Yeah, that was shameful. He should be ashamed of himself. That was disturbing. It was troubling. It was upsetting. It was disgraceful for his office. He knows better. Everybody in his office knows better. She is cloaked in the presumption of innocence, as we all are. When an arrest is made, when allegations are made, she's cloaked in.
Sounds like he's got a YouTube channel that he's explaining this stuff on, right? That's what it sounds like. I love it. I love to hear this.
In an unremovable presumption of innocence, unless and until the Commonwealth puts to bed that issue by a trial with a jury verdict or a court verdict. There's no excuse for leveling that claim or making that statement in public. All that did was turn the public against an innocent woman. It was despicable.
We'll be back with
quite frankly, I think he owes her an apology.
Yeah, he's by the way, his wife is a judge, and she serves with Judge Cannoni.
I did not know that.
It sounds like me. It's like every time somebody tells me a connection here in the background, you're like, oh, okay, it's good to know.
It's the hacker-ram, as we say in Norfolk County. 844-500-4.
I think there's one more segment after this.
We're feeling like Howie got lots of stuff. Boston, Mass State Police, judges in New Bedford, the dirty state police chemist. It's all here. You can order it right now at HowieCarrShow.com. It's a pre-order right now. It'll be out very shortly. It's got a nice cover.
You've got all the cast of characters right there. There you go.
All right. Listen, and Karen Reed came back here just for the last bit of the hour. And Karen, would you like to say anything to anybody as we leave here? And because you're probably not going to be doing that more interviews for a while. What do you want to say?
What I said when I came out of the courthouse after the acquittal is just thank you to just so many people. It feels like already a short lifetime ago, but it's only been 2 months. But the support, even Howie, of not even, but from you and this station, and having the guts to report on what was actually happening, and not worried about any kind of retribution or political loyalties in this state and in this county. That people, a lot of women, children, and men, courageous enough to be very vocal about how they felt about this, and that's how things are going to change. They need to vote, and they need to worry about their community and their families and children, grandchildren, generations to come. That and I think things will change, but emotionally, these people, journalists and supporters, community members, have.
Was that a hat tip to a certain journalist, you think? Let me know in the comments if you think that that's what that was.
Emotionally pulled me through, and my family and the lawyers too, I think.
You want to say anything to District Attorney Morrissey and the state police?
Careful, Karen.
You lost.
Simple enough.
You lost big time. And you know what you did. You know what you've done.
Alan?
The thing that nobody thinks about in a journey like this is the energy that it takes to get up every day. That what she's had to go through every day from that day in January, when she was arrested early February, until this day. Every single day she has to get up and have the spine, the intestinal fortitude to get up and fight a fight. It is incredibly taxing, right? Nobody's feeling sorry for us. We don't ask anybody to feel sorry for us. It takes energy, it takes gumption, it takes focus, it takes drive. We would not have had that drive and that energy and that focus and that determination had it not been for the support of the community members. We were able to do what we did. We were able to fight the fight that needed to be fought because of the community members, as well as folks like you, making sure that the community was invested in what was actually happening, that they had the right information, that they had a place that they could go to get the correct information, because misinformation was running afoot.
Let me just ask you about that Channel 4 story. They Channel 4 reported, I think the day after, that the cops had ring camera
Correct.
Video.
Right.
A total lie, and they never retracted it.
Yeah.
For 2 years. What do you think,
Yeah.
that,
Well,
Karen?
what I think is that is what they were actually told.
Correct.
I don't think the error was on Channel 4's behalf. It was what they were told at the scene.
Yeah, they didn't
And
make
I think
up.
I think it existed. We made a motion in court for Brian Albert's ring camera. We believe he had some brand of surveillance at his house, and we know there was one across the street. So yeah, I think it actually existed. It ceases to exist probably now, but
But they said it showed you hitting
right.
John O'Keefe.
Right. They had me buried.
Which
for a while.
was the abject lie.
Pin it on the girl.
Pin it on the girl, right? And anybody that said that knew it was a lie, knew it was completely unprovable, because it didn't happen, as we established unequivocally through 2 trials. There was no collision.
Alan, when will I see you in court?
The 22nd of September.
That's the other case.
That's the other case.
Thank you, guys. I'm Howie Carr. Children are a gift from God, and every day.
All right. So how about that interview? What did you guys think about that one? Not a ton of new information, maybe, but I love to hear their thoughts. They talked about specifics, some strategy in the trial, which is always great to hear about strategy from the lawyers who actually tried the case. That's what I love talking about. We heard a lot from Karen Reed, what she thinks, how she feels, what their next steps are, how she feels about the Elizabeth Banks show that's coming out. I thought that was really interesting, but you guys let me know what you thought. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to our page. I appreciate everybody that sent me this video to react to while we're also watching the Adelson trial together. Saturday morning, 8-ish a.m. Get your coffee, come hang out, talk about the last day of week 2. I guess technically it feels like only 1 week of Adelson together with me. But until then, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. And if you have a case that you want to personally talk to us about in your life, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, truck accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know.